everybody. It is Heart Chakra Healing Thursdays. The Heart Chakra, that space, right, where physical reality meets spirituality. So heart and below, we have the lower vibrational chakras, right, which more of that physical reality, 3D. And heart up is our higher vibrational chakras, more of that spiritual energy, if you will, the unconditional love, beyond the physical and beyond, not dismissing the physical. Mm-hmm. So I don't forget YouTube language. If you find benefit, value in this video, please give it a like and share, and of course subscribe to my channel. Let's see. So my reflections, my journaling, and grab yours, right? Grab your chakra healing notebook and come journal with me. Let's see what our heart chakra is like today. Do you scan yours? Have you scanned yours yet? So notice my hand is on my heart. The heart chakra is right in that space, right around the heart, in the chest. And mine still feels heavy. There's still a lot going on too, right? And as I've mentioned in the past few videos, I'm very much focused on the physical reality. Some lower vibrational energy, the wanting to control. Yeah, that's a big one. Making those efforts to allow, right? For the highest good. I like repeat that in my head sometimes, like, for the highest good, for the highest good. For the highest good is not necessarily what I want, right? The highest good and Robin's humanness is not always the same thing. I don't like it, but it's true. I will say, though, there's also moments of, it's a weird, I almost want to call it a roller coaster ride, because it feels that way sometimes. I can feel myself dip down in those lower vibrational emotions and thoughts. But then I feel like this, dip up, where there's a space of gratitude, faith, belief, acceptance, surrender, allowing, receiving. And then I dip down, right? That's this. So that energy is flowing. I'm not sure that it's balanced. I know it's not balanced, but it's flowing. One indicator for me that my, in general, overall energy is not balanced is I'm not grounded. And how do I know I'm not grounded? Because I can just stand in place, and wobble. Like I'm going to fall over and like have to re-step or put my foot out and get my balance. That's pretty off. That's pretty off. So in addition to heart chakra healing today, I've been doing other things to try to ground myself more. Excuse me, staying aware of it and ground myself more. Yeah. It's not great when you can't even stand up. Just stand still without losing your footing. And I don't feel dizzy. It's a weird thing because it's not like feeling dizzy or lightheaded or anything. I don't feel anything in my head at all like that in that moment. It's just this weird, almost like a full body sway. But it's also usually in that moment of I wouldn't say confusion, but unknowing. Like you're getting more information, but it's really not information because there's really not an answer in the shit you just heard. But you heard some stuff and you're trying to make sense of it and you're trying to figure out, like, okay, but what does this mean and what do we do with it, you know? So I've noticed it's typically in those moments that I feel that sway, or yeah, I'll just leave it at that, in those moments. So in a balanced heart chakra, we feel compassion, we feel empathy for ourselves and others, not just one or the other. And that is so important, key, and I think we often miss that because we tend to go one way or the other, right? We, in our humanness, we tend to be extreme thinkers. It's either yes or no. We skip the middle, or both. Sometimes it's both. So I'm gonna share an example, and I won't blast a name. You know who you are if you watch it. But I had a moment of really venting. I was really upset. There was a day of what I called, excuse my French, but fuckery at the hospital, and I was just really upset at staff. Not all of them, but I was venting. So I'm venting about the ones I'm upset with, right? And then after that, I was like really impressed with one of them. I mean, there's some others that they're in that middle spot, right? They do a good job. But one I felt was like above and beyond, especially even in the midst of a curry. So they have like this, I think they call it a Daisy Award. So it's just an opportunity to give that nurse the kudos, to say, I recognize what you're doing. So I took that paper. It took me a couple days, but I filled it out and submitted it. So I was telling my friend that I did that, and they're like, I thought you said you were mad at the nurses, Excuse me, I am. Some of them, not all of them. There's some I'm writing a report on, like a formal complaint. But not all of them, right? Not all of them. There are some things that are, and I try to be fair, so I sit with it. Part of that heart chakra. So in your emotions, in my emotions, when something happens, especially when it's just not the way that I want it to be in my humanness, of course there's that anger, right? Or disappointment or frustration or irritability or woe. But I've worked really hard over the years to not quickly react to that. It's not always easy, right? But it's important. And I like to, I think I do pretty well, for the most part, it's a process. So I'm not saying that I do it, super fast or always quickly in the moment. Sorry, I'm trying to move my leg. It's really stiff. Oh, ow, snap. I was sitting funny there for a minute, and that was just a really bad idea. Okay. Sorry. Yeah, what was I saying? In the moment, being snappy, reacting, to slow down, to look at the bigger picture, look beyond my initial reactive emotions, right? So, since most of my time right now is on mom's journey and observing and being involved in that, there are times where, we don't get the answers we want. We don't hear what we want to hear. And it's really hard emotionally. However, I like to believe, and I make the effort and attempt to see it for what it is still, right? Mm-hmm. Still hard. Hard in the sense of, I don't want it to be like that. I mean, obviously, I don't want my mom sick, right? And I certainly don't want it to be a serious thing. Obviously, most of us as human beings don't. We don't want our loved ones sick, and we certainly don't want it to be something serious or, chronic or critical. And when it does become serious and chronic and critical, those emotions kick in, right? Fight, flight, or freeze. It's not always for ourselves, it's for those we love. That's saying like a mama bear mode. So now I'm in fight, flight, or freeze for someone I care for. So in that moment, that's that emotional reaction. It's that quick, figure it out and fix it. Like, no room for humanness, no room for a reality that's not acceptable by my own standards, right? Just fix it. And if you're not, now I'm pissed at you because you fucked up, right? You're doing something wrong or you're not good at what you're doing. It's your fault. I'm blaming. It's a stage of grief too, by the way. Shaming, blaming, anger, guilt. It's part of, those are stages of grief as well. In the stages of grief. It's normal. It sucks, but it's normal. But my point is that I'm aware. I try to keep that awareness. Sometimes it takes me a minute to slow down, take those breaths, and look beyond my initial emotions, how I'm reacting within. Hopefully not completely outwardly. Sometimes. I have definitely been a bit snarky with some of the staff. Some I still feel it was earned, like I don't feel bad about it at all. Others I'm like, I might have been reacting right to my emotions without viewing, being aware, considering the whole picture. And as I share, don't get me wrong either, I'm not criticizing myself for any of it either. I'm sharing it so that whoever watches this video, because we hear things, we see things in the right time for ourselves, right? So as you're listening, this is a gentle reminder that it's normal. The hell normal is, but it's normal. It's common. We do that. We're humans. It's what happens in our humanness. It's what happens when we have human emotions. It's not a terrible freaking thing. It just is. We've downplayed and bashed and what's the words I'm looking for? My head's still a little mushy. Downplayed, bashed aren't really the words I wanted. Think, Robin, words. We've like demonized emotions. Like, oh, you need medication. You had an emotion? You had a feeling? What's wrong with you? Fix it. Like, what? I'm laughing but serious. Have you noticed? It's terrible to the degree that some of us take this. It's ridiculous. Like, I don't know what you have going on there, but I don't want to deal with what you're feeling, so there must be something wrong with you. Go see a doctor, go get on medication, because I don't want to deal with you like that. Sounds shitty, don't it? Because it is. It is. But if you step back and observe, do you see it? Have you done it? I've had my own moments, where I can look back and think, yeah, there were times when I thought maybe somebody needed some extra help there. And they did, but not in the way I was thinking. It wasn't because they were wrong or that they had a mental health diagnosis and I'm not bashing those things. I'm just saying that that extreme that we tend to hit, like that all or nothing, if you have an emotion that isn't happy and go lucky and joyful and blah, then there's something wrong with you and it's a disorder. There's a diagnosis for it. Yeah, it's called sadness. That's my freaking diagnosis. I'm sad. I'm angry. Oh, here, let me add a clarifier to that. I'm uncontrollably sad or angry. It happens. It's called life and being a human being in this life experience. That's what it is. Not always, and again, let's not hit the extreme. I'm not dismissing any mental health diagnosis or the symptoms that go along with those. I'm not dismissing those at all either. It's not one or the other. And along with, sometimes we forget this too, along with when we have a mental health diagnosis, we still get sadness. It's normal. I remember that just when I was practicing as a therapist, in practice as a therapist, just giving those gentle reminders. For some, they thought some people feel that they need to have their medications adjusted because they're having moments of sadness or anger. And when you hear and talk about what's going on, what the current life experience is, of course you're having sadness and anger. That's normal, right? It's a normal human response to the stuff that's going on right now. Sometimes we just need those reminders. So yeah, it's funny because my topic, what I was going to talk about on this video, completely shifted. But I'm sharing what needs to be shared in the moment it needs to be shared, and you'll hear it when you need to hear it, right? I love how that works. So what else? Sometimes so that whole spiel, for the recap, had to do with the compassion, right? So a balanced heart chakra, we have compassion and empathy and love for self and others. Not just one or the other, but both. That's part of that balance and harmony. It's for both. Healthy boundaries. When I can love myself. Okay. Boys, I lost connection there for a minute, and I was beginning to wonder if I'd get it back. So I'm not sure where I got cut off there, but healthy boundaries. When I can have love for me and for you. When I can take care of me and be a support for you. When I can help others as well. And again, there's flow. That balance just means there's flow back and forth, right? It's that gray area. What many of us can call a gray area, to me, is actually a healthy area. That's where the balance and harmony lies, is right there in the gray. It's not extreme, one or the other, as far as energy flow. We can do both. I can sacrifice and still take care of myself. It's not one or the other. In that very moment, it might be, but I can quickly balance that, right? It's okay, Mom, I'm spending the majority of my day in a hospital sitting with my mom. In a sense, it's a sacrifice, right? There's a lot of things I can't do sitting in a hospital. There's a lot of things that come up sitting in a hospital. It's real easy to sit and worry sitting in a hospital. So doing moments of self-care in those moments. So staying present and grounded and maintaining control of my thought process. So interrupting if it wants to try to trickle down into the oh shits and yeah buts and what ifs and what ifs and what ifs and what next and what happened, right? To interrupt my thoughts and take control and reshift and refocus. What are we doing right now? What do we have control over now? How are we doing right now? Even when the how we're doing right now isn't great, Could be worse. I'm not going to think about how it can be worse, but just that gentle reminder, it can be worse. Making sure I eat, making sure I, have fluids, I'm drinking something, staying hydrated, things I can do still while I'm there. Then when I come back, I can rest, relax. I get back, I stretched out in this chair and kind of dozed off this evening. I hope I sleep tonight now. I probably should have done that, but I was really tired. But allowing myself to do it, right? So that's love for self too. Having love for mom, having love for my family, trying to keep them updated, having love for myself, taking care of me too. When the heart chakra is blocked, you might feel depressed, heavy, icky, gross, clingy, needy. I don't mean to use those words, but I've definitely had moments of feeling clingy and needy, or even shut down, isolate. Yeah, sometimes that too, isolating. So there's a huge difference, just a reminder, between solitude and isolation. Solitude can be extremely healthy and enjoyable, right? Isolation is more of an avoidance tactic. Solitude, we're just enjoying time by ourselves. Maybe meditating, connecting with higher self, maybe just cleaning, whatever. We can be in a higher vibrational emotional state when in solitude, when typically when we're isolating, it's because we're feeling low and icky and just wanting to block and shield and hide and avoid, right? Not the same thing. Overactive heart chakra, I would say needy in that too. Really focused on the attachments. So I watched that again with mom as well, because the difference between what I want with her versus what her spiritual life journey is supposed to be like right now, what's in her highest good, may not match what Robin's human wants. So those, and that is an attachment. We can debate what attachment means, but it is a form of attachment to say, like, it's my mom, I love her, I want her here forever, right? In the human form. Let me clarify, because we all know energy lives on forever, but in the human form. Is that realistic? No. Is it even good for her? Probably not, right? Especially not the way she's feeling right now. Nope. What else? Brain freeze. Anxiety, I think definitely anxiety. When the heart starts racing and the breathing changes and all of that's happening right here, right? Things are just, ugh. Yeah. Physically, respiratory difficulties, so maybe like asthma, maybe even infections, bronchitis, pneumonia. Circulatory, so anything with the heart, your veins, blood pressure, things like that. Physical symptoms of a imbalanced heart chakra. So what helps me with my heart chakra and trying to balance it, if I'm feeling low, like that heavy, icky, gross feeling, either think of or make a point to be around my grandbabies. To be honest, my grandbabies are the quickest way for me to just feel that love, So that's a quick way of feeling that. But whatever it is for you, if it's my animals, I'm not doing it now because there's grief tied to that, so that's not going to, I'm not there yet. As I heal through the grief, I'll be able to think of them again in that loving, joyful way where it's like building that ball of love to give to myself to help balance and relieve the heart chakra. If it's overactive, I do this. I put my hand on my heart and just breathe. Slow, deep breaths to help slow it down. And with that being said, if you feel anxiety, if you feel anxious in that moment, slow, deep breaths does help physically slow down the heart. It controls the breathing. So those physical symptoms of anxiety, you are actually controlling and slowing down. So same thing with the heart chakra being overactive. Same thing. Okay. I hope that makes sense. So, what was that like listening to this today? What would you like to share? What are you journaling on? What is your journey with your heart chakra? Do you feel like it's balanced? Do you feel like it's not? And it's not cut and dry, right? Sometimes it might feel balanced and sometimes it doesn't, but are you aware of what brings about, what's the difference? Like what's going on when you feel that it's balanced? What's going on when you feel that it's not, right? Continuously increase awareness and assess it. Assess what's going on. Assess what you notice, any physical symptoms, what emotional, they're not even symptoms. I don't like using that word. Think of a better word. Experiences. What do you experience physically? What do you experience emotionally? Excuse me. I don't know what's going on there. Probably just me saying, you said enough, shush, go relax, right? And for me, of course, my faith, that helps a lot, especially in these times of changes and possible changes in my physical reality. So even with my dog, right? So I'm not putting that energy on Mom yet. But with my dog, I mean, obviously, because we had to put him down. So in those moments of grief and the changes in the physical and, because I miss him in the physical, I want even, just a few minutes to sit and give him hugs and the kisses and the missing that. And switching my focus and my thoughts on, because that's the physical, lower vibrational grief. And just because I say lower vibrational doesn't mean it's a bad thing either, right? Remember that. When I say lower vibrational, it's just that. It's a description of the vibration of that particular emotion or thought. It vibrates slowly. It's more dense. It feels heavier. It's just a description. It's not good or bad. It's just a description. But to switch that focus on, for my spirituality, that bigger picture, the divine knowing that he's still with me, right? And sometimes, even just in a blank, I can still see and I feel it in my heart, like energetically. He's giving me that love, I want to hug him physically, but I really appreciate and have so much gratitude for the continuous connection. I know he's still with me, right? So again, in that heart, for me in the heart space and the higher vibrational thoughts, feelings, my spirituality, the energy, that sense of knowing and feeling also helps me keep my heart chakra in balance. Helps with all of my chakras, but we're focusing on heart today, yes? And again, I feel like, the heart is that space where the higher and the lower meet. So when I typically talk about a chakra and then the chakra in polar opposite location, if you will, to it, the heart is the heart. The heart contains both, the upper and the lower. So I speak more on our humanness and our spirituality with the higher and the lower, right? Hope that made sense. I'm getting in babble mode. I'm getting off the air. Check the description on the video for the links for offers and updates and freebies. And I will talk to you tomorrow. So much love to you. Bye, guys.